Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Maria. Happy Thursday. Okay, so there's been a lot of news this week, and I wanted to say a quick hello to everyone that has visited my channel in the last 13 years. Thank you. And I have made a bit of a departure from my original content, which was always MPD, DID, multiple personality, dissociative identity disorder, and my experience of being diagnosed in 1986 and looking at media depictions, how mainstream media often lends to more stigma and perpetuates myths and folklore and legend and just a whole lot of untruth and crazy that is not there. That is not there. And we see it in popular uh, books, Sybil, Three Faces of Eve, movies, TV shows, United States of Terror, um, Primal Fear, Fight Club, all of the Split, all of the movies, all of the books. And that's usually not how our life is. That's not what disassociation is. That's not what disassociating is. That's not what dissociative identity disorder is. It's not what dissociative disorders are. And there's a whole lot of people that are being uh, wholly stigmatized by that diagnosis. So I have completed my book, which I've talked about, called Talking Houses. Actually, it's just called Talking Houses. And um, I've really been betwixt and between over the years of whether I should publish, whether it's worth it to publish, or whether I should, what format I should use. Uh, Prose, like maybe novelettes, vignettes, and doesn't matter. Everybody's got a story to tell. Does my story matter? Um, my why, does it matter? Right? So I really have, did I write it for me? Did I write it for all of me? And the integration process? Or did I write it for anyone to get help from it? Will anyone get help from it? I don't know. So I finally decided, um, although I've been told over and over again, publish it. Publish for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years. Publish, publish. I didn't want to. It didn't seem like the right time. Um, we'll see. And what I've decided is to start reading my book out here on my channel and to monetize. And it will be just a little donation, like thanks on a page. That's it. Um, in the meantime, I'm interested in a lot of stories going on in the world, everywhere, and pop culture and everything. And I also am always interested in knitting and crochet and cooking and baking. So you don't know what you're going to get with my channel. It's just a vlog. Some days I just talk to you about my cat, my thyroid, my hair. Me, 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 me. No, I'm sure. Some days I'll do book reviews. Some days it'll be about movies. Some days it'll be about the weather and just what's going on in the world. Okay, so two big convictions came down. Ghislaine Maxwell was sentenced to 20 years. Kelly was sentenced to 30 years. How do we reconcile the difference? Whew. Looking at the age of them, Ghislaine was 60, Kelly is 54. The evidence, Kelly, the accusers of Kelly had videos, pictures, tons of pictures, evidence. The gals that came forward and accused Jeffrey and Ghislaine have one picture, and that is Virginia Roberts Gouffre, who has a picture with Prince Andrew from years ago at Ghislaine's London apartment. I don't know of any other evidence other than everybody agreeing and now infighting in the Ghislaine Maxwell. There are women that are claiming to be survivors that are now turning on each other and saying, no, you were a recruiter. No, you were his girlfriend. No, you were. Okay, so I've talked about this in different videos. And this is something that cultists do. They draw in cult personalities, people that are vulnerable, people that are looking to get an answer from a person or something from a person, or they find out your need, your what you're looking to achieve, and they become your answer. And they look at your strengths, they look at your weaknesses, they really get to know you well, and they lure you in. So it can be said that Jeffrey it was a cultist, and and Ghislaine was also, like, she had an ability to draw people in, even if Ghislaine didn't know. Maybe it wasn't her idea. Maybe she was just following what Jeffrey said. Maybe she was just one uh wannabe wife that was just a top girlfriend sometimes. But then he had a number two girlfriend sometimes. So there were other women who were known as the number two lady of the house. Sarah Kelly was one of them, um, who recruited just as many young girls underage, more than Ghislaine Maxwell. So there might be more convictions coming in. We don't know yet. Getting back to RKelly, we already know that Ghislaine had a traumatic childhood and her father died, Robert Maxwell. I've talked about that, and that she was probably in an inappropriate kind of relationship with her dad and groomed, just what her siblings and even her mom said in the memoirs. So she was drawn into a relationship with Jeffrey. What's going on with RKelly? Well, RKelly was the third child born, four children in a family, a single parent home, where his father he didn't really have any father that he grew up with, his biological father, in his childhood or his adolescent. He was born into great deal of poverty, lower class poverty in the projects in Chicago. And his mother eventually married another man, and they uh, fought, and it became a violent relationship, and they drank a lot, and he was abused. But more importantly, when RKelly really enjoyed going to church with his mother when she was first single, up until the age of 6 to 8. He was very close with his mother and very close with God. He loved to go to church, and he sang in the church choir. And he was molested by a landlady and an older girl repeatedly for several years, from 6 years old. And then his older sister, Teresa, began molesting him. It was repeated from 6 to, I believe, uh, 11, 12. Also, at 8 years old, he had a little girlfriend named Lulu. Lulu and him were sexual together, and Lulu died tragically. She was found dead in a creek. So he also lived in a neighborhood that was very had a lot of gang crime. So just going to school one day, he was shot in the shoulder. And these are the kind of things he grew up with that was normal. He was left for dead. His bike was stolen uh, as a young man. So he grew up with his mother stabbed him when she was drunk. Um, he had a lot of abuse, but more than anything, he was continually sexually abused by women. And what the doctors are saying that were involved in his case is because he looked up to his mother, he would have listened to older women. Um, he would have wanted to be a good boy. He would have been hypersexual. He would have later in life maybe taken his anger out on women, reenacted it. Um, you know, people don't just turn into monsters for no reason. We got Johnny Depp turning into a monster. Right? Well, what his mother did to him. We got Amber Heard turning into a monster. What happened to her? Got um Ghislaine Maxwell turning into a Madam Monster. What happened to her? And we have now RKelly, a musical genius, a man of great faith who was married for 25 years, who seemed to start off, excuse me one second, I had to go chase my cat down. He was chasing something. It's dusk. The lights are going down. And my neighbors below me are moving, so there's a lot of noise right now. So you might hear a big bang or something, or drills or something. It's always fun when neighbors move in the middle of the night. Anyways, so RKelly had all this trauma, and all I remember about hearing about RKelly, honestly, was the church I went to was 98% black, and we used to sing the song, I Believe I Can Fly. The choir would sing it all the time. And about the time RKelly started getting rumored to be with Aliyah at a very young age, and then Aliyah tragically dying. I remember our former late bishop who passed away encouraging everyone in the church to pray for RKelly, and but then he also used to encourage us to pray for Kobe, and so um, and he would say the enemy is going after all the beautiful ones, and talk about Whitney, who talk about you gotta wonder children that grow up in church singing praises to God. Whitney, I mean, just so many, I mean, just such great faith. What happens to them? What? Um, Look, I don't want to see any man spend his life in jail, and they're going to be awful to him. I don't know. I don't know the kind of prison he's going to be in. He's already been beaten up once, horribly. He's already paranoid. He's already been in solitary confinement. He's already been on suicide watch. I'm sad. I am. There's a lot of people celebrating, like, good, he's behind dark. I don't ever celebrate when somebody is thrown in jail and the key is thrown away. And I know, I know what it's like to be a victim. I know what it's like to be a survivor, but it's nothing to celebrate. There's something to be said for these people had traumatic childhoods. He was repeatedly, along with his brother, later in life, his brother and him were repeatedly molested by their sister. But it started with him first with a landlady and a lady at church. psychologists are saying there's no way he could have um, uh, uh, worked that out in his mind. Um, do all children that are abused become abusers? No, but I have to tell you, there are not a lot of um, resources for Black men or Black women. There just aren't. You don't find many Black men and women going to therapy because they were abused. Prince was abused. Michael Jackson was abused. They didn't go to therapy. They did, well, Prince went to therapy eventually, but I mean, they didn't belabor it. They didn't, and that's something that needs to change. That's something in the Black culture and the Spanish culture that needs to change. Men and women of color need to feel comfortable going to therapy, mental health therapy, and talking about trauma and talking about their fear and talking about violence, and they don't. And I believe RKelly, if and what and where or whatever he did, stems from being repeatedly molested from 6 years old to, I believe they said 15. 15. And then he was shot. And then he was stabbed. And this has to have some effect on your mind and your behavior. Now, the other things the doctors mentioned was the death of Aliyah. That people conspired to believe that he had something to do with it, that he couldn't prove that every time he turned around, this was his feeling. And I do remember he said this in the Gal King interview. So everybody said, oh, RKelly got unhinged in that interview. What two of the doctors have said is every time he felt like he explained everything was okay, up came all these allegations again. Somebody was accusing him of something else. His wife, Andrea, she both jumped into the Me Too movement, talking all about domestic violence, all the horrible things he did to her. He hogtied her, he did this, he that, trigger warning. He left her for dead. He fell asleep. He almost choked her to death. She was thinking of killing herself, all this stuff. And then also talked about how much she loved him and she wanted him back and another chance with him, no matter what. And don't you talk about my husband. Is that honeymoon cycle? Or is that, gee, I really thought this and R. Kelly didn't do this or Robert didn't do this. I found it really interesting that Andrea, his wife, ex-wife, backup singer, knew him the longest, 3 children with him, was able to, I'll use the word, compartmentalize RKelly down to there is RKelly, the persona in your mind and my mind, and then there's Robert Sylvester Kelly, who none of you know. And then there's Rob. Go watch the interviews. All of Andrea's videos, she's the victim and then she's his defender. And the same is it's like I really feel like I'm playing ping pong in my head when I get to RKelly. I have no problem with Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, Amber Heard, Johnny Depp trying to figure out these cases, Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie trying to figure out these cases. I got no problem. I'm like, but with RKelly, I'm constantly going, huh, really? No, but, but there's pictures, there's video, there's recording. Why would he do that? So he had a very traumatic childhood. Maybe that's why. So his lawyers and the doctors tried to get him a sentence of 10 years. That didn't happen, claiming that he had a very traumatic childhood. And he did. Um, he really, really did. And we never really heard about that. We never heard him complain. I saw him on um, The Voice. And this is something that I've always wondered about since I saw it, was during all the allegations and everything that was going on, he went on the show The Voice as a blind audition. And I believe Blake was there, Farrell, Christina Aguilera, and Adam Levine. And none of them were turning around. He was singing I Believe I Can Fly. And I think he was kind of like mocking mocking down his voice to make it sound different. And they were just kind of listening. Nobody was hitting the red button. He went into I Believe I Can Fly, and he just kept going with that fly. It went on for, I think, 5 to 7 minutes. He held that note. And I thought, oh my God, there's a lot of pain in this man. That is a wailing that I have never heard in my life. That is a narcissistic move. Like, you think you're the voice? Let me show you the voice. It's incredible. It's not like vocal lessons. It's not like vocal warm-ups. It's not even human. It's bizarre. To be able to hold a note as long as he does, it's freaking amazing. And they all turned around and looked and they were like, oh, it's RKelly, but really? Okay now. All right. All right. They were kind of nervous, like, where did he go? Where is he? It's something's going on there. He's not even aware that they all turned around. He's not aware that he's been going on forever. He's not aware of nothing. He's just holding his note. I believe I can fly. I think everything we need to know about RKelly is in that one video. So I'm going to link it. And you can watch it and let me know what you think. I'll go ahead and link the insider story where they do talk about his early childhood, and then biography plus, where it talks about his early childhood also, where he was molested repeatedly. He was shot. He was stabbed. How he met Aliyah when she was 12. He married her. Her parents annulled the marriage. He married her when she was 16, going on 17, I think, right? They changed the age. It could be 15. We don't know. But the parents annulled the marriage, and then he lost the love of his life. And they talk about Lulu, like between 8, like they were at 8 years old. He had a lover because he was already sexualized, and she died some bizarre way in a creek when they were together, and he was found. She was found later. I believe the article says she got drowned and was found later in the creek. I'll leave the links for you. So I've been really trying to understand RKelly because I don't. I don't. I don't. I don't understand how a man can write songs like "You Are Not Alone" for Michael Jackson, "I Look to You," Whitney Houston, "I Believe I Can Fly," "Where Are You At" for Jennifer Hudson. I mean, it doesn't. There's something so. The paradox is really strong. It's really not matching up for me. So, that's all I got. I'll leave my links there. Let me know what you think. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.